The problem with the cabin air filter is it is literally the last line of defense to prevent rodents from getting into your cab of your vehicle. If you've seen how they make these things, it's pretty eye-opening. Essentially what you have here is a plastic cowl right here, and then underneath it, right about there, is an opening, and then it's just a stamped metal box that has the top of your air filter. So if you've ever opened your cabin air filter and acorns and nuts and mouse nest debris come falling out, that is why. Engineers have literally designed a rodent condo perfectly on the firewall of most vehicles, modern vehicles. So what you can do to prevent rodents from getting in there, two different things you can do. Defensive perimeter, if you can get in there, and preventative products such as Bounce fabric softeners. I've always been told Bounce brand fabric softeners prevent mice from getting into areas. I've been using it for years, and so far, you know, knock on whatever, it has been working. So what I did on this, because my truck, the way this thing is designed, this cowl, in order to take it off, I need to take off the windshield wiper arms. They're fused on, I cannot get them off. So what I did was remove those little tabs right there, and I put Bounce fabric sheets in there, and then the plastic tabs that are gonna go back down there will hold those Bounce sheets from going all over the place when the air goes through there, and it will prevent, hopefully, mice from getting in there. Because I literally had to take the air vent out. All the nuts fell through that opening because there's a big pile of them. They fell through it and dropped down into the fan and actually jammed the fan. So I had to take the whole truck apart, access to underneath the fan, pull the fan out, vacuum everything out, clean everything out, put it back together. And here's a tip right here, pro tip. So when you are gonna change out your cabin air filter, generally they slide out just like this. The problem is the mice will build the nest on top and your fan is down here. So the best thing to do is cut a piece of cardboard the same dimension as your filter. You can use the new filter as a reference and a template. Slide that underneath your old filter and hold it into place, and then pull out the old filter and all the debris will fall on that cardboard. And then once you get the old filter out, take a vacuum, suck everything out, and then pull the cardboard out and then put the new filter in. It'll save you a big headache. So other things you can do though, and I'm going to show you right now. Okay, I am on our little Hyundai. Hyundai engineers, much like American engineers with the Silverado, did the same thing. They built this awesome mouse condo here. The one advantage that Hyundai did, they put little access points that you can pop up, and I can stick my hand in there and pull out all the grime, which is helpful, makes it a little easier to get in there. But one of the things that they did though is, if you looked in here, inside here, there is literally an oval opening just like that with two screw hold points, and it's just a metal box with this opening that looks like it should have a guard over it, but they didn't put one there, but they did put the holes there. And you reach your hand in there, and inside there is the cabin filter. So it's literally just a box that rodents can get into, build their nest, and do it right on top of your cabin filter. So that way you might get a bad smell in your car, you know, next time you go to clean it out, or that, who knows, maybe they'll chew through the filter and get into your car, you know, and cause all kinds of problems. So on this car, it's the same thing. It has those plastic tabs. I don't know if you've ever used those. Most automakers use different types. You either push a button in and then pull it out, or some type of weird little trim tabs. If you can get those out, take this plastic housing off. I got my hands in there, and a product you're gonna wanna get is hardware cloth. It's not really cloth, it's metal mesh. Get the 1/2 inch, mice can't get through it. 1/2 inch is usually cheaper than a lot of the other ones. They have like 1/4 inch and 1/8 inch. 1/2 inch is great. And what I did is I cut a piece, roughly about that size, pushed it in there, formed it by hand to fit, and then put some zip ties to hold it in place. And what I also did, just like the Silverado, just like this car, you really can't see good in there, but On the side here, there's just 2 openings with, they put some foam, just foam to stop the mice from going in. That's where the air comes in with these vents right there. So what I did was bend some pieces of hardware cloth and shoved them into there. That way air still gets into there, but mice cannot get into there. I don't know if you can see in there a little bit better, but I bent hardware cloth and tabbed it down in there. It's blocking the holes on the side here for mice getting in. And then I'm gonna try to show you, maybe I don't even have to tap over. If you can see in there, there's the hardware cloth over the vent in there. Okay, why is this important? One of the things is if you get rodents in your engine compartment, they might chew wires. They could chew through, on the little Kona, the Honda right there, they chewed through the windshield washer hose. So that's another thing. I'm gonna give you a quick tip right now, how to fix a hose. So in there was just a little tiny little plastic hose. They chewed through it. So I had 2 ends that were just, they should be together. So the easiest way to fix a hose like that is cut both ends so they're clean, and then go in your shop, because you should never throw anything away, look for a hard plastic tube that will fit in the interior of that hose. I ended up having an old carburetor from a little lawnmower or something like that, and it had a plastic intake on the air intake side of it, just a red hard hose. I took a piece of that, cut it off, and then what I did is I took the 2 pieces of the broken hose, put 1 piece of that red hard plastic inside, had to shove it in there a little bit on the one end, and then did the same to the other end, pushed them together, and then took 2 zip ties, and no leaks. Hardware stores sell a lot of stuff like that to connect hoses together. I'm looking over there and I'm like, there's a goat outside of the fence, just chilling, eating. You can see her between the 2 buildings. She's not supposed to be there. So little things like that will keep your vehicle going. The other thing you want to do is just keep up on your maintenance. Oil change, transmission filters, and transmission fluid changes. You do want to do that stuff. You want to look at your owner's manual and at least follow the basic guidelines for, you know, those type of changes. Even your radiator fluid, brake fluid, you know, after a while they lose their ability to perform. And if you're like most homesteaders, you're going to have an older vehicle. I mean, it's an older vehicle, regardless of what many people say, is still cheaper than a payment on a new vehicle. New vehicles are really expensive. And if you don't want to spend, you know, $60,000, $70,000 on a new vehicle and just want to keep an old vehicle like this going, it's worth it to just keep up on that maintenance. It really is not that expensive, and a lot of it you can do yourself. So one good thing is to keep an eye on stuff like that. The good thing is a lot of the items on these vehicles you don't have to do very often. Most new vehicles, spark plugs, you don't change to like 100,000 miles. Our Hyundai, I had to do it at 40,000 miles because it's a turbo, and it's funny. The spark plugs on that at 40,000 miles looked horrible. On my old Subaru, I changed the spark plugs at 100,000 miles. They look brand new. So if you have a normally aspirated engine, more than likely the recommended interval is going to be like 100,000 miles. The big thing I've noticed out here, cabin filters, like I just said, you need to check on those because rodents will get in there. You're not going to drive as much, so rodents are going to just take over your vehicle. So I had been doing my cabin filter every 6 months. Back in the civilized world, I was doing it like once a year, once 2 years, and they would come out like brand new. You know, maybe some dust in there or something like that. Here though, you got to check on it often. So I'm going to start checking it monthly just to make sure there's no rodents getting in there. On the car that I did right there with the hardware cloth, I should be good. They should not be able to get in there. But unfortunately, now that they can't get there, they might try somewhere else. And even on this Silverado, I've noticed, if you can see this spot right there, it's just a cowl, little lower spot. It looks like something peed there because something did, and there's little mouse droppings or chickmunk droppings right there. So something was making a nest in here. And see these little openings right here? Now when I close my hood and open my hood, I can hear acorns rolling in there. I had a bird's nest in the grill. And the way these cars are made nowadays, it is so hard to get into a lot of these places. So a good thing to do is get familiar with your vehicle, learn how to take some of the stuff apart just for general maintenance, because what are you going to do when a bird's nest is in there? What are you going to do when, you know, the mice get into all these different places? One of the things I also did, I'll do a video overlay of it right now, but I put an ammo can right there where the spare battery would go, the second there's a spot on these Silverados for a second battery since this was the work truck trim. In that I have an air compressor and some extra tools that an ammo can, mice can't get into. They can't shoot through the metal. So that is one thing you might want to consider, is some rodent-proof storage options in your vehicle. Sorry, that goat is just sitting there looking at me now and just chilling away eating. I did go over in another video having one of these, you know, battery jump starters. And this one's also an air pump, which I like because it's redundancy. That way I have 2 air pumps on here, because one of the other things, living rural, I've plugged more tires in the last year than I think I have in my whole life. So you're gonna want to carry a tire plug kit in your vehicle. And I love this one. This is the Boulder tools. And it's just got a cool little Molle pouch. I've done a video on this, so I'm just gonna briefly go through this, but it has everything you need. You know, all the tools, you got pliers, you know, the plugs, just all the stuff in a nice little case. And on these, you need to keep an eye out on these though. This is one of them items I recommend you get right away, except when to hold off for it to go on sale. I think the normal price on these it's not cheap. It's like 50 bucks or something like that. But every big holiday, every big, you know, shopping day on Amazon, these go on sale and they're usually about $25. And I would wait for them to get $25 and maybe instead of buying one, buy 2, you know, one for each vehicle. I've got one of these in every vehicle. I've got, this one's the one that goes in my ATV. So the UTV, I mean, I keep it in there also because there's a chance I can get a flat tire out there. If you're gonna live rural and your vehicle is gonna be your bug out vehicle / homestead vehicle, but you're gonna drive around every day, there may be times when you need to go more off-road, you know, because out here I drive off-road every single day just to get to the main road, the paved road. But one thing to consider, I'll show you these things. These are products that a lot of overlanders use. I got this one, and I also have Boulder Products, once again, makes a product that I like. And it's this right here. And what are these things that I'm showing you? They are kind of the opposite of a tire repair kit. They are a tire deflator. And you're gonna be like, whoa man, what are you deflating a tire for? So most overlanders, off-roaders and things like that, they carry an air compressor with them just by default, just in case, you know, because they're very well prepared. But they use tire deflators. And just to give you an example, these ones right here, you screw on each of your tires and then you preset what you want it to deflate to, and then they will shut off once that tire hits that PSI that you want. So the reason for that is just so you have lower PSI when you're off-road. So your tires give more over sharp rocks, you get greater traction and less chance of, you know, puncturing a tire on a sharp rock. You have a softer ride, so you can drive a little bit smoother. You have to watch it though, because you don't want to go too low of a PSI, because then you can, you know, pop a tire off a rim. These are just some of those things to look into when you live rural like this. When you live rural, more than likely, your driveway is going to be long, your road is going to be long, and more than likely it's going to be rough gravel. More than likely, not always, but more than likely. Ours is a little rough at some spots, and you got to kind of watch that. I tore a tire open on the road to my house, so it's one of those things you have to be prepared for, that kind of thing always. The big thing too, and this is my fault, but when I got a flat tire on this truck, my tires were pushing 10 years old and starting to dry, you know, crack a little bit. So my guess is that helped get me the flat. Like the tire was cracking already, and then I hit a sharp rock. The rubber wasn't as flexible and it just split and I got a flat. So I did get new tires. I got like 10 ply, you know, some kind of aramid technology, slice resistant, pretty much the best all-terrain tires I could get, because I still drive on paved road a lot, so I don't want to go crazy mud terrains. I wanted a good tire that could still do everything. The other thing I'm going to go along in here is, in addition to always having a mess in my truck, I do keep, and I'll show it to you, this goes around the seat on the truck, on the headrest. So when I'm driving, this is behind my headrest like that, but I can still reach back there. And I guess I could have just, it's got a handle. You can just rip it off. It's Velcro, so I could have left this thing on there. But I keep a pretty good survival slash first aid kit in here. So I've got a North American Rescue Stop the Bleed complete kit that they sell shrink wrapped. That way it's waterproof if I need to take this out. I've got a little survival kit, knife, multi-tool, flashlight. I'm still going to add some more stuff into here, but it's a kind of a work in progress. But it's one of those things you always want to have a first aid kit, because more than likely, living rural, you will be probably a first responder at one point or another. One of the other items that I just added in there, I don't know if you can see it, I will put some overlays on there, is the Bullet Industries cell phone and tablet mount. This truck is older. I don't have a touchscreen. I love the features on new vehicles of the touchscreen for using GPS for driving places. GPS generally works pretty good out here, so I do have the Bullet Industries GPS mount and the tablet mount in there. I can also mount my camera on there, so if I start doing some driving around, I want to talk, you know, it'll work on there. Other than that, I really don't have much in the truck. I mean, you know, some tow straps, just some extra power cords for the phone, you know, little things. Water, always keep even some half full bottles in here. Just want to have some water in there. I do have like an air water filter that I carry. The water filter is also just in that little survival kit, one of those life straws. It's somewhere in here. These are the tires that I have, Nokians. I'm not going to tell you what tires to get, just have good tires. That's one of those things you want to keep an eye on. In general, they recommend you shouldn't have tires older than 10 years. I can give you a story about that. When I bought my Chrysler Crossfire during COVID, I was using it to commute. I bought the car, it was 18 years old at the time. The original tires, 18-year-old tires that had 95% tread left on them because the car had like 20,000 miles on it. I was going down the interstate, probably too fast because it was during COVID, and I felt driving, and all of a sudden the car just did this weird feeling. I drove straight back to town to the tire shop and they said I was lucky to be alive because the belt delaminated inside the tire, and the tire literally split like this way, not the round way, but like the like almost two halves. And it was bad, like all the strings were showing through it, and I put on 4 new tires that instant. Ever since then, I make sure not to have tires over 10 years old. I should have known on this. The tires were literally like 9.5 years old. They were not a bad tire, but they were showing lots of cracks and things like that. Okay, just gonna show you really quick there. It's just I did a video on this too, so I'm not gonna go super in depth in this. Is some TP and some hand sanitizer and things like that. You never know, nature calls. Tire repair kit and shovel. It's not super sexy off-roading, overlanding gear like roof racks and things like that. This is just every day. You're gonna live rural, you wanna move out to the country, you live in the country already. These are things that you might wanna take care of. You know, the rodent protection. Rodent protection's a big thing. Tires are a big thing too. Your general maintenance, like I said, you should always take care of, you know, make sure your brakes are good. You know, you should go to a good, if you don't do it yourself and you go to town for an oil change, find a good shop that they check everything for you. But hopefully this is helpful, because this is one of those unfun, you know, how do you make this a fun topic? You really can't. Wow, it was like really cold this morning, massive rain, just horrible weather. Now it's actually getting hot out and weather out here. So, but hopefully this is helpful, because I literally had both vehicles, the air box for the cabin filter just completely full of acorns. So I would highly recommend doing the air filter yourself, the cabin filter yourself, if you can, and just stock up on those filters. Always have them on hand. Oh, and I did not go over the other thing, rural. You're probably going to want to change your air filter more often too, because out here our roads are really dusty. You can see the vehicles out here are just caked in dust all the time. So what does that mean? That's going to be in your engine compartment. So you're going to want to do that, keep up on that. And what I like to do, the cabin filter, I will write on it with a Sharpie the date that I install it, because 1, I will forget. 2, if I go to a dealer and they pull it out and they're like, hey, this cabin filter needs to be changed. And you're like, I changed it last week. And they're gonna be like, oh yeah, it's actually okay. So that's one of those things. I've noticed it's kind of like locks. It keeps an honest man honest. Since I've started doing that, I have never once had a dealer or anybody else bring me the filter and be like, hey, this filter probably needs to be changed, because they know that I just changed it. Unless it is like 2 years old and I did forget. I had that happen once, so. so it's a good thing to do. If anything, it even helps the people working on your car know when you last changed it, so they don't have to ask and feel stupid. But a lot of times I've had people just say, hey, you may want to replace it sooner than later, you know, which is nice. So hopefully this was helpful. Like I said, a lot of homesteading is not sexy, it's not cool, it's pretty boring, pretty everyday. But vehicle maintenance is one of those things that you just have to keep up on it, because this is your like lifeline to get out of your property, to to get to town. You need the vehicles, but unfortunately for us, even our cars sit a lot. We drive a fraction of what we used to drive, because otherwise the rodents will take over the vehicle for you. So the struggle is real. So hopefully this was helpful. Hey, thanks again. And like I said, if you enjoyed the channel, learned anything, whatever, didn't learn anything, not happy with this, leave me a comment. Good, bad, indifferent. I'm all for it, but I'm just gonna, yeah, so. And I'm slowly trying to work on a Bigfoot video for Halloween, because he is out there. I honestly have not even been in the woods on the property here for like a month or two, so who knows what's out there. Anything could be out there. But thanks again, and until next time, bye. Till next time, bye. Big camera. I'm still waiting for the temperature in my water to be perfect. It's still warming up. And then end it there. Thanks. Like and subscribe. I gotta support this shirt because it was a gift. I love it. I do. So thanks again. Bye.